Hi, another arena from the previous system. This time we return to one of our favorite spots, the Lannisters. The Roaring Lion versus the rest of the houses of Westeros. Our basic tactics in this match were based on trading and annoying the opponent by stealing altars, namely those where they had bonuses to the points they earned through trading. Of course, we didn't stop there. Sometimes it is worth playing for a higher stake, or bluffing very well with 2 and 7. But what if the City of Glory is being torn down like Christmas trees before Christmas? Look. Of course, as is often the case, attacks made without scanning tend to be unreliable. In this case, I entered Tier 5 at full speed. It did not end pleasantly for me. Just look at this report. The enemy chose his commanders very well for solo fights. We have a synergy of weaknesses here, with the addition of Patilo and Hector, as well as Petter Baelish. All modes on this cavalry grinder work great. Petter is supposedly a cavalryman, but it increases his total statistics. You don't lose anything by choosing it. On the contrary, the disharmony status granted by his awakening skill is a really juicy counter to the female synergy very often used by cavalrymen. Female synergy, which involves spamming active skills, can cause a lot of damage to itself in an encounter with Petter. On the other hand, against bleed synergy, where active skills are blocked by Sonara or the commander silences himself, Petter is not very useful. Patilo, while not essential to weakness synergy, does increase attack and damage reduction, which can be activated faster with weak spot attacks. Hector, on the other hand, can be set to restore half of the army lost as a result of receiving damage from the active army skill, and also increases the attack there. Again, great against cavalry, but completely useless against bleed synergy. A combination of commanders specialized against cavalry, capable against spears, but completely defenseless against infantry. A great solution for solo combat.
Znowu w życiu mi nie wyszło.
The second shot without scanning, and again it didn't turn out right. I mean, I'm sorry, I was scanning, but I didn't focus on it. The presence of the Lord at the enemy changed everything. This composition is much less refined than the previous one. If it weren't for Layla's presence, I would consider it a random selection of commanders. Why, Enzo and Winton are of little use without Jane. Salma gives a chance for a quick and specific attack at the beginning of the battle, while Lena Waters, without her exclusive weapon, is simply weak. I won't go into much detail about this half-hearted synergy because, in my opinion, the enemy is in the process of organizing commanders for his squad. He has 2 paths here, combine weakness and female synergy by adding Jane to the lineup, or focusing on female synergy by trading Winton. And Enzo, 2 paths, both equally probable. The building worth taking over, and possible to do so, was the mercenary camp. A March skin is always welcome, especially since we have a camp. There simply won't be enough for our opponents. Looking at our opponents, I decided that we had a chance to enter the City of Glory. Rally is on the way and the result is panic on the keyboard and calling for the rest of the faction to join. I'm not a weak player, I hope, but the real power in capturing buildings comes not from individuals, but from the whole group. The takeover was successful, but maintaining it for a few minutes is another matter. Let's take a look at the report of my failure. Archers, in theory from the bottom shelf, but brilliantly designed. Kravraz and Melisandre are responsible for the damage resulting from their awakening skills. Arya Stark additionally applies her death markers. Egbert and Sheila are responsible for the archer's statistics. This is not a bad solution. Arya additionally increases infantry defense percentage. The weapons are also partially equivalent to infantry. A clever solution. I'm not in this player's mind, but I bet it's not a choice motivated by cost reduction. In theory, fighting 2 types of units at once is very difficult in financial terms, but this can be remedied, as he did. The infantry is focused on survival, while the archers are responsible for damage. Since they are literally a glass cannon, you can skip increasing their defense and health by packing these stats into infantry that has the highest survivability. Of course, it wouldn't be of much use against cavalry, but against spearmen, other infantry or other archers, a good, cheap and effective trick. How I hate archers. Overall, with my failure to maintain the City of Glory, I came up with a rather interesting idea. If we can't hold this building, but we can bounce it back, maybe that's what we should do. Bounce off anyone who enters there. This may not be my best idea, but if no one takes the city, no one will rise in the ranking. Not to mention the reduction in points for the rest of the families. Now that we've managed to take over again, we should hold on as long as we can. There wasn't much time left, and taking over the building only took a few minutes, and these minutes are crucial. We already know this man, but not in this configuration. As I mentioned earlier, he had the perfect lineup combination for solo fights. Now he showed his other face for group fights. Personally, I would replace Salma with Drake, but this arrangement also serves its purpose. Partly, Layla buffing Annie and Salma, weakness synergy for cavalry. Personally, I'm going into something similar, but I have slightly different plans. Maybe I'll tell you more about them someday, because a bit has changed since last time, both in the game and in my strategy for the future. Let's get back to Sir Andy. The thing about weakness synergy is that it is initially weak, because what's a few percent more damage? Nothing special. But what about this? 105% more damage. The opponent's line has no chance of being held. However, this requires battle time. A good commander for building defense and raids is Annie. Her awakening skill allows you to send 3% of the enemy army from the battlefield, but this value cannot exceed 3% of the army under Anna's control. In the case of this particular report, Annie may have sent back a little over 5,000 enemy units. Additionally, her exclusive weapon increases this value by several tenths of a percent. In the case of full defense, where we assume 4 million defenders take part, Anna will receive 800,000. She can then send back 25,000 enemy units. This is a bit more valuable, right? And if the ability to awaken Layla comes in, this value multiplies. She's a magical girl, but she has a book instead of a wand. I like her. The last seconds of the match. The board is dense, especially in places 2 to 4. Baratheon was very stubborn. He often visited the City of Glory, fortunately not long enough to take it over. Has our tactic been successful? Was trading, breaking altars, and throwing everyone who came from the City of Glory effective enough? There was silence on the Discord. All I could hear was my heartbeat and my fingers were shaking uncontrollably. We managed to keep second place, or were we seconds away from happiness? What a relief. After this scene, I invite you to the after party. Yes, this match definitely gave me a thrill, especially towards the end. He was a bit long-winded, it's true. But how can you not share such cool fight reports? The tactic turned out to be effective, but we were far from first place. But well, none of us still have tier 5 troops. So second place is still very good for us. Trade, altars, and a tactical approach to combat. That was enough for second place. However, some luck was also needed, because we were less than 200 points away from dropping to fourth place. 200, not 2,000. I have one more recording from Arena before the gameplay changes. If you want to watch it, let me know in the comments. But if not, I will skip it and the next recording from Arena will be according to the new system. Thank you for today, and I'll see you soon.